You're listening in on an animated discussion about Batman the Animated Series with two experts in their fields. I'm Joshua Unruh, your superhero scholar.
And I'm Caleb Masters, your friendly neighborhood film critic extraordinaire from thecinematropolis.com. And today's topic is Season 2, Episode 6, The Laughing Fish.
Caleb, we have had a couple of very heavy episodes.
We have. We've gone some deep dives into very heavy themes dealing with identity of Bruce Wayne to
father and son.
And
I mean, some legit stuff going on.
oh yeah.
Good news, everybody. This one's just a good yarn.
It's just a good Joker v. Batman story. Joshua, how was it you put it? What did Joker and Batman do every Tuesday when they're bored?
Right.
This is it.
This is it. This is the run-of-the-mill Batman and Joker kind of caper where not everything is on the line and it's not a million lives. It's just like a handful of lives, which is still important. So Batman's going to save them. And at the core of it, a plan that's actually a joke that nobody really gets.
That's kind of hilarious.
It's great. Yeah.
And also Batman gets to ride a shark.
Batman gets to ride a shark. What could go wrong? I mean, that's a really good example of like setting the stakes and scale of your show.
Right.
Because the guy has done all kinds of crazy things in other episodes by now. But also, that's a shark. And even if you don't believe Batman's in peril from a shark, Bullock does, and we believe Bullock.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
This is good writing. We're jumping right into the writing.
We're
but still,
jumping right in.
As a bit of a lark as this episode is, it's still expertly done.
Right.
We shouldn't be surprised. Top two names above the fold.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Paul Dini, directed by Bruce Timm. You know that's going to be a quality episode every time it's those two guys. Tons of awesome people work on the show, so no shade for anybody else.
But these guys get the characters. Characterization is definitely specifically.
And they know what they're doing.
Exactly. They understand how to create good set pieces. But I gotta say, this is also a peak Joker and peak Batman. Like, these guys are both firing on all cylinders. Like, the Joker has some bona fide hilarious jokes.
True. It's true.
I was laughing so hard. And then Batman does. This is definitely one of those episodes you can look at for Batman memes and where it says, and because I'm Batman.
That's right.
And because he's Batman. You know what I mean? Because he does there's twice I was like, the shark being one of them. I'm like, Batman.
He wrote a shark.
He wrote a shark.
What else is he going to do? He's in there with a shark.
My other favorite moment too, I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I don't even care. Like the moment where he's in the room as they're doing this investigation and he pulls off his hat, like a hat or something, and then it's Batman. I'm like, where did he come from? Oh, he's Batman. He there.
Walked in a policeman's jacket and hat
and
just takes it off and he's Batman underneath it. Sure.
Yeah, why not?
It's fine.
Why not? It's fun.
It's fine. Talking about understanding, Dini and Tim know what they're doing, and when they make decisions, they are decisions that are made for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. Did you have thoughts about the title card on this one?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Joshua.
I kind of air quote title card.
Yeah, because it's not a traditional title card, because normally we get a still image that's a really powerful piece of art. This one is
obviously airbrushed, like it's not part of the episode every time.
Right.
But
this is more ominous because it is part of the episode. There's no cut. Actually, really ominous. It's a dark, kind of like it's a dark and stormy night, you know, like, and it just camera lingers on that squeaky fish sign swinging back and forth.
A smiling fish,
yes,
which is both for the episode, but again, you get these juxtapositions in this image that you get from Joker. It's very ominous, but also kind of funny.
Right.
And it's the long, lingering opening shot.
That's what makes it more ominous than anything.
Why are we spending so much time on this? And one answer is because we're going to make it the title card. But in terms of the overall real estate of the episode, it's also like the longer this holds, the more concerned I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, before we drill too far, Joshua, this is actually based off of a classic Batman comic book. I haven't read this at all. I haven't read whatever part of the series this is in. Can you give us a little more backstory on the history of this comic? Do you know?
Well, yes and no. There's not really too much to it. They are Detective Comics 475 and 476. It takes 2 issues to deal with this relatively basic Joker plot because this is, and I'm going to make a controversial statement right now. This is when monthly comics were doing the thing that monthly comics should do. Because they did have an A plot that was this laughing fish thing, but they had a bunch of subplots in this ongoing soap opera style superhero narrative that they had to touch and spin the plate on. Does Silver St. Cloud know who Batman really is? The answer is yes, but she lies to him about it because she's not sure what that will do to their relationship. Why is this ghost of Dr. Hugo Strange haunting both Batman and Rupert Thorne?
The ghost of Dr. Hugo Strange.
You don't get to know yet, but you will several issues down the road, right? So this relatively straightforward story gets told over 2 issues because there are subplots going on, because that's what monthly comics are supposed to do.
Right.
And this is when they were doing that.
Simple plots that also set up for future storylines.
Yeah, you spin the plate on the Hugo Strange thing is a thing we're going to do in about 10 or 12 issues. We're going to make sure that it stays weird and ominous the entire time. Bruce Wayne's been dating Silver St. Cloud for, I don't know, like 30 issues or more by that point, and she just figured out that he was Batman, didn't tell her, he thinks she knows, goes to her as Batman, and she plays it off. It's really like strong, weird soap opera romance stuff that makes sense with the secret identity shenanigans and also has negative 10% to do with Joker fish.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love both issues for all of these reasons, but
this episode simplifies and they just stick to the Joker storyline.
Yeah, they pull the A plot out and make it the only plot, which again, Beat has is 100% serialized. They do have a continuity that they build on, but not in the way that month to month the next issue picks up where the last issue dropped off.
Well, and I think it becomes more and more serialized in that traditional sense the further we go through the series. This is still early enough on that, like, yes, technically they're all in the same universe and they're connected, but it's really just like one.
Each one is their own piece. Yeah. Or it's a 2-parter that's one piece.
Right.
We'll see if I change my mind as we go, but I don't think we get to actual serialization in the traditional sense until Justice League Season 2.
I'd make some arguments for Batman Beyond and maybe a little bit of Superman.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Justice League is really where all these chicken come home to roost, right? That's when it's like,
Season 2, more than Season 1, where they were spending a lot of time setting up these characters in these big, broad 2-parters.
Right.
Oh, will we ever get there?
Oh, man, can't wait.
But yeah, so it takes 2 issues to do this story. They're pretty fun, but you need to know you're coming in to be like, what is going on? The Silver St. Cloud stuff, there's a lot of exposition because that was also a little more prevalent back in the day.
Right.
So you know what that is, but the Hugo Strange ghost thing is going to it's going to come down the road. Yeah.
WTF, man.
So anyway, that's that. And it's a Steve Englehart book. It won some awards at the time. These 2 issues are very highly regarded because of the Jokerfish story. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I think Beat has probably does that story better
than the comic
because it gets to focus on that story.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you match, again, the powerhouse team of Bruce Timm, Paul Dini. I mean, we get, of course, Mark Hamill's Joker just killing it. I mean, guys, the Joker, I mean, I know sometimes the jokes are kind of bad and sometimes you're like, oh, that's supposed to be funny. No, my favorite, firstly, the whole, like, the Joker walks in and someone says, "Great Scott, it's the Joker." And he says, "Actually, I'm Irish." And I lost it.
Actually, I'm Irish. Oh, it's so good.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's just so cute, so funny. Another one he gets in this episode is Colonel What's-His-Face has chicken and they don't even have mustaches. Like, and the way he says mustaches.
Yeah.
It's all just, it's so good. He uses a whoopee cushion as a signal for his cronies.
It's so on point.
Oh my gosh.
He also made the "what if the mermaid went the other direction" joke before the internet existed, really.
Yes.
Because now that's a very legitimate question that the internet has asked, but Joker makes that joke, and it's actually the thing that makes Harley get serious for a minute. She is so off-put by the joke.
Right.
You know, you're really sick, boss. That's the joke that makes her have a moment to reflect on her life choices. And you know what? Legitimate.
You know, I think it's always legitimate.
The opposite mermaid is gross. Yes. I don't want to think about it.
I think it's hilarious that he sees this whole thing as a practical joke that no one else gets.
Well, I mean, I think that he legitimately thought that he had a scam that would work.
Of course.
But just didn't do his homework.
Right.
This is a bit that I really enjoyed when he said, "This was all planned out far ahead of time. You are the last tiny cog in a grand machine."
Yeah.
And that's the cog that's going to fall apart because the pencil pusher is literally like, you can't do this thing that you want to do. Joker didn't do the most fundamental research in how trademarks work, and that's where it falls down.
That's hilarious.
And he just decides, I'm gonna Joker my way through this and just threaten people and poison them
with
until
the
it all works
fish.
out. Yeah. I mean, it's so good because I think he really thought it was going to go.
Right.
I think he thought this was a scheme. No problem. This scheme, there is no place this can fall apart until the guy says, you can't trademark a natural resource.
Exactly. Oh, my God. Come on, Joyer. Got to lawyer up, man. Got to do your homework with those lawyers.
I mean, he did make a joke.
You should hire you and Harvey Dent should collaborate sometime.
Yes. Oh, that would have been much more delightful. Watch Two-Face file the motions.
Or seeing Two-Face trying to explain the law to the Joker.
That's even
better.
better.
Just like a 2-minute conversation would be hilarious.
So I think you're right that joke about Colonel Sanders is very good.
Yeah.
And it is a joke. But I think it also is a thing the Joker really believes.
Yes.
Like these two things I'm talking about are 100% comparable. This is an apples to apples comparison. It's super not. And that's where the whole thing falls apart. It's great.
Hey, man, should have gone to law school, should have recruited a lawyer. You would know the difference. It's a very important difference. It's very, very important.
Or Google it. I mean, you couldn't.
Oh,
you
Google
couldn't have.
it. Ooh.
You couldn't have. But just honestly, a little research is all I'm saying.
Just go open a law book, man. Go read. Go do some reading, Joker.
You know, speaking of research, I really liked what this did for the character of Harvey Bullock.
Yeah, Harvey Bullock gets not quite front and center, but he gets a really strong supporting role in this episode.
He really does. And we see the ongoing thing that he does, which is the antipathy for vigilantes, and that's going to continue, and it's awesome. That is a good defining character
that's what's
trait.
great about Harvey Bullock in the first place is he's like the kind of shady cop who's willing to go places other cops aren't, and he teeters that fine line of being a vigilante, and so almost like Batman, yet he's the guy who hates Batman more than...
got a badge. That's what puts us apart. Yeah, not as much as you'd like.
Right. Exactly, right? He's going rogue, doing his own investigation. I'm like, I don't know, man.
But the thing I really like there is that he detectives.
Yes.
So does Batman. You know, I always love it when Batman's doing detective work.
Right.
But Bullock does detective work too, and he kind of hangs a lampshade on it. He's like, I didn't need a bat computer. Well, look, Batman didn't either.
I don't need a bat computer. I love
But
his voice.
Batman knew that was a Japanese tang. That is not actually useful information. Bullock knew the part that's useful for the investigation. And what I really like about this is it's a very strong competency moment for Bullock. Like, he's not just this Keystone Cop that we saw on Two-Face.
Right.
He's actually good at his job. That's
Yes.
how he got here.
Street level detective.
Yeah, you don't need to know that's a
smarts.
tang.
Right.
You need to realize that stands out and then go ferret it out. It's the difference between world's greatest detective and very, very accomplished police detective.
Right.
You're very effective. You're just operating at different levels. Loved it.
Yes. Yeah.
Loved
Great.
it.
I love also the Joker's use of. He goes super corny with them too. He has like when he has that giant fishing reel that he hangs over the tank and has Harvey Bullock strung up to it, and he's wearing a fisherman cap and everything. It was too much. I loved it.
I love, of course, supervillain gimmicks, and Batman's supervillains have some of the best gimmicks. But I love when they pick a different gimmick and just go hard for it.
Right.
And yeah, he's the TV commercials where his hulking henchmen are dressed in 50s style short pants and spinner beanies. He looks like Mrs. Paul's, like the fisherman in the raincoat. Like he goes full.
He commits.
Go for it. Harley is in her outfit, but also has an apron on over it.
Yep.
Everybody's doing the thing. Fish pole. And I even like the moment of lucidity that we get from the Joker. You'll never get away with this. He's right, you know. And Harley's like, what do you mean? If this loser figured it out, Batman'd be here in like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that line too. He's like, it only took this guy a few minutes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a delightful moment of lucidity because I do like that he's weird and that he's bonkers. Like, you can't predict him.
Right.
But that would be over very quickly if there wasn't some rationality that bubbled to the surface every now and then. Well, I don't want to hear it a lot. But that's a good one.
And it just shows that he still knows Batman. He's like, this guy figured if this schmuck figured it out, and it's only a matter of time before the bat shows up. In fact, he's probably coming with a plan.
Yeah. So everybody, get ready. Whoopee cushion.
Oh my god! I also got the music cues in this reminding me of Die Hard, not the Christmassy sounding parts of the Die Hard soundtrack, but the very heavy electronics.
Oh. Yeah,
it was like I know this would have come out, of course, a few years after Die Hard, but I just was watching, like, ooh, I'm getting some vibes, like right before Batman shows up and they're like playing this whole building. There's like a very heavy like synth.
Yeah, that's cool.
That sounds like, and I know it's probably just popular at the time, but it was. I just was getting
really different for BTAS though.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They tend to orchestrate.
It's not
they
the
tend
orchestrated
to
score.
Danny Elfman it. You know. Yeah, that's excellent. Even when they're doing the thing that we expect them to do, there's these little touches, and I think especially we talked Deanie and Tim. You get lots more of those. I will say, in nod to Steve Englehart and his work on the original comic books. Almost everything that happens in this story that is about the laughing fish is straight from the comic book.
Right.
The binary compound, poison with the first guy, the drugged cat.
Oh my God, we got to mention the cat. How the cat takes a bite out of the fish, gets poisoned, then scratches the other guy dressed as Batman. Which, by the way, I was like, "What's going on?" There was a split second because I hadn't watched this episode in a while. I was like, "What is going on?" And of course, Batman's in disguise as another guy in the room.
He made himself the target, right? He's there for the first guy, and that's not enough. So instead, Batman centers himself. Well, now he'll come for me.
Right.
And then I can deal with it. Except Joker knows his foe and is like, I need a way that's definitely going to attack the right person in the room.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's strong.
Super clever.
All of that's straight from Englehart's original comic book story.
Interesting.
The swordfish missile.
That's from the comic?
No, that is an embellishment for the show.
That was amazing.
But a delivery system for the other half of the compound.
Right.
Batman even snatches a gas mask off of his, in the comic book, snatches a gas mask out of his utility belt and just slaps it on that guy, thinking something like, I know I can hold my breath long enough to be fine, but you can't. Like, to himself, you get the thought balloon,
Right.
and slaps the gas mask on him, and it's not enough because he got a couple of puffs of it.
Right.
And
Right.
then everybody else is fine. In the comic books, Batman goes so far as to say, now that I've smelled it, I recognize this as one half of Joker's binary compound, which they don't do in the cartoon, and I kind of wish they had, because I like the idea that he knows the Joker as well as, listen, he's dosed me a lot.
I know how this goes.
I know what this smells like because I've been dosed with this before. It's pretty good.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very clever. Man, it's just a good yarn. I like how it ends. It ends with the air quotes cliffhanger, like, oh man, the Joker.
The Joker dead?
Firstly, hilarious that the Joker's like, he's like, I'll see you next time. Jumps into the water and realizes on his way down, oh, there's a shark down here.
Yeah, this is a good way to manage that. Hoist him on his own petard,
Right.
But also, yeah, he'll be back. It'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Batman never has any doubts in his
It's
mind.
the joke. Well, you've got Batman's textually doing it and metatextually.
And we're all like, of course, yeah, Joker's
he'll be
fine.
back.
Yeah,
That'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, Harley is great in this. She just her ongoing problems with the caper and
Right. How she's the one who's she's actually onto the fact that this isn't going to work at all.
she knows it's not going to work. She also thinks fish are super gross. And maybe is allergic to them. She definitely vomits after one bite.
She does.
So great. And it's just obviously causing some problems between her and Joker.
But see, she loves him, so she doesn't want to tell him that his plan is bad.
And you even get a moment of caring from Joker when he's like, this caper's been a little hard on you, hasn't it, Harl? Now, he then goes and makes the mermaid joke.
Yes.
So he doesn't really care that much.
No.
But it's a moment. It's a moment.
He like acknowledges that he's supposed to care about her in that moment.
Yes. That's perfect. He is acknowledging that he ought to care.
He does that on her all the time.
It's true.
He's like, yeah. You have feelings about this, don't you? Well, here's a joke, a really mean joke.
Good news, friends. We will eventually get to an episode in this season that begins the end of
the
Harley and Joker's
Joker.
not great relationship.
Yes, very complicated. Joshua, I don't really have a lot more to say about this. This is just a fun romp, man.
Watcher. It's a definite watcher.
Can't miss it. Can't miss it.
And I'm glad we had it as a palate cleanser after the last two really serious ones.
Yes.
Do watch this one. It's super fun. It should not be missed, but at the same time, there's not a lot of deeper themes.
No.
This is one that works.
It's just a good old,
Very well.
good old tale. It's a pulpy Batman v Joker story, and that's what I love about it. And it's a fun one too. It's not self-serious or anything like that.
At all.
No,
At all.
whatsoever.
It's all about these traps, this binary compound, this cat with the Joker
The
fish,
fact that it happens at the aquarium.
at an aquarium.
Right.
Of course it does, because Joker has committed. It's these great set pieces that are still really smart. Mm-hmm. And you can see this in Englehart. Englehart is a very well-known, established, like that guy knew what he was doing on Batman stuff.
Right.
You can see this where it's like, we didn't write the set pieces because we wanted set pieces. We were like, what's a big, ridiculous caper Joker can go on? We can make a fish smile. I got jokes for that.
There we go.
Right? They're
Right.
smart set pieces. Which not to shade on BTAS. BTAS usually has smart set pieces.
Just in general, yeah.
But
Here's the thing that makes this one
it's
better. though.
summertime movies, right? So we can talk about bad set pieces.
Yes.
We can talk about dumb stuff that has pretty set pieces right now.
Right. Yeah. And again, this is smart. It's not dumb. It's smart because it uses the characters and the strong characterization of the Joker for it all to make sense in his own little convoluted head,
right?
In a way that's really entertaining without being generic or anything like that.
It is uniquely and specifically a Joker story that doesn't go into the deeper things and still gives us this big action nonsense.
Because we have seen some other episodes where there are just generic set pieces from either generic bad guys or C-list bad guys. And you're like, okay. I mean, the set piece is cool, but like it doesn't really mean anything.
We skipped an episode in season 1 because it's just not very good. But I really wanted to talk about it just because the set piece is so good. Mm-hmm. Like that is a real thing that has happened on BTAS now and then.
It's still fun. Yeah, that's part of what's attractive to the show, right? It's a cartoon. It is an animated program for children. Set pieces are kind of a big deal.
Yep.
All right. Well, Joshua, before we go, I wanted to see if you had any recommendations for the listeners today, other than maybe some BTAS episodes.
Okay. After just saying how light this episode is, this is a very heavy wreck, but it really entertains me because the moment that I'm totally sold on this episode is when Francis tells him you can't trademark a natural resource,
right?
And this flabbergasts the Joker. I would recommend to you Chinatown.
Ooh, wow.
A very dark, very serious take.
Especially now it's directed by Roman Polanski, who just this week got expelled from the Academy for shenanigans.
It is an admittedly problematic piece, if only because of the people behind the camera some. So, I mean, know what you're going into. But as far as bad people trying to control what ought to be a natural resource for all and put together in a really tight, very workmanlike, but still elevated to art package.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Chinatown.
And it's a crime. It's about crime too. Like it's an actual crime thing.
It's a crime.
You feel like that almost could exist in the Batman world somewhat.
Well, let's remember. Oh, I mean, I've got another tie to that. Joker's first appearance in the comic books is him trying to poison the Gotham Reservoir.
Ooh.
So I mean, this dinking about with natural resources is an accidental recurring Joker thing,
right?
But it makes total sense in Chinatown.
Well, I will go ahead and leapfrogging off of your trademarking of natural resources. Just talk about a couple of films that are about bad guys using I shouldn't even say bad guys, characters controlling natural resources. The first and foremost, I'll just go ahead and throw a shout out to Mad Max Fury Road, where the bad guy owns all the water. Now, it's not trademarking it, but he is his power comes from the fact that he has all of the water and holds that over everyone else.
And we're definitely suggested that it's that way in the whole rest of the world too, right?
Yes.
Like there's another place where that guy's the boss because of the gasoline and that guy's the boss because of munitions. They have core needs.
When even in the other Mad Max films, like water and resources is always the thing. Hey, this one person's got all of it, and they're using it to hold power over everyone else. So that's one example. And also another one, There Will Be Blood, obviously a lot heavier.
Again, very heavy. Very heavy.
Very, very heavy. And also, though, weirdly heavy, but that movie's got a really good sense of humor. Recently watched...
Well, I think Chinatown does, too.
Yes.
I didn't bring that up, but that's a good point.
Right. They're both funny movies.
They are legitimately funny.
I drank your milkshake in like the most over-the-top manner ever. Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. That's one about an oil man who rolls into town and starts to drill people for oil, gets them on board to let him drill their oil, and he kind of swindles them all and uses that against them.
So I guess what we're saying is, if you're too happy after this episode about Jokerfish, we've got some wrecks that'll bring you down.
That'll bring it down a couple notches.
Well, that about wraps it up for this animated discussion. Caleb, where can people go to continue the conversation with you?
Well, I'm the editor-in-chief over at thecinematropolis.com. It's a website dedicated to really deep dive analysis of films, kind of like in the same way we're breaking down each episode of BTAS. We do this with all sorts of movies. So if you like the sort of thing we're doing here, I hope you'll head on over to thecinematropolis.com. And of course, where you can read essays from myself, a lot of contributors, including Joshua Unruh here, who has written some great superhero pieces. And also, we've gotten Smoking the Bandit, some old films too, some great A essays there. You can also find me on Twitter tweeting about movies and TV and video games and all sorts of other pop culture on Twitter at C Masters Talk. Again, that's letter C Masters Talk. Joshua, how about you?
I'm also most active on Twitter, where you can find me easily enough as at Joshua Unruh. I'm happy to field any superhero questions you might have, and who knows, it might even become a podcast unto itself. I'll also keep you in the loop on any fiction, articles, podcasts, or diatribes that I cast out into the world, including my work at the Cinematropolis and for Pulp Diction Productions and Press.
I can't wait until things get a little stranger. Not Stranger Things. No, we're not going there. But our next episode of discussion will be Season 2, Episode 9, The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne.
Until next time, we'll see you back here. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Animated Discussion is a Pulp Diction Productions program and is 100% supported by listeners like you. To find out how you can keep this and our other shows in production, check out patreon.com/pulpdictionproductions. And if you can't support us financially, please leave us a rating and review on iTunes. It's the best way to help others discover the show. Keep up with Pulp Diction news by following @JoshuaUnruh on Twitter or find us at facebook.com/pulpdictionproductions. And a special thanks to Vinnie Hogan for our original theme music.